All right. We continue in the 37th chapter, a very empowering chapter. B'masenu, it's up to us. The fate of the world, everything, ultimately, that God created the world, what He created it for, is ultimately in our hands. And we not just can do it, we will do it. There's no doubt about it. God's plan is not something that will, not happen. And the only question is it happening today? That's the only question. Is it today happening? And we need to, have that trust and faith that, yes, today is the day. Especially a day like Purim, of course. Hayom. That through our actions of Torah and mitzvahs, that we will transform the world. So we spoke about transforming the world. The world begins with me. That's how the world begins. My world, my darkness to transform. My klipa, the shell that's covering over on the divine within me. Well, we have mitzvah objects that we use, that those mitzvah objects are transformed into holy objects, godly objects, whether it's tefillin, whether it's a esrog on the holiday of Sukkot, or whether it's a coin that you give to charity, it's tzedakah. You're transforming from its klipa stage to its holiness, that it is a direct vitality from God's countenance in that object. Furthermore, when I'm doing the mitzvah, I'm transformed. And what's transformed about me? Well, that which needs transformation, which is my animal soul and body that's engaged in the mitzvah. That is transformed. Now we go further into this idea, more so into this idea. And that is, in addition to the mitzvah, the object that's involved, and me that's involved in the mitzvah, which means my animal soul, because my animal soul is what gives vitality for me to do an action, gives me vitality to speak as I'm speaking now the words of Torah, or be it the words of prayer, whatever it be, right? But then the energy that I get to be able to do this, where do you get your energy? So the divine soul gets its energy directly from God. But the body gets its energy from the vital soul, and the vital soul gets its energy from the food that we eat, that becomes the blood, becomes our blood, that now is the vital force that is giving us vitality. The food and drink that becomes now that vital force. Now, before that food and drink, it was klipas noiga, right? Kosher food, of course. For a Jew, can only be kosher food. Kosher food is not holy, though. Kosher food means it's klipas noiga, meaning it's an admixture of good and evil. But now that I use that food and drink in order to be able to learn Tanya, or to be able to hear to do other mitzvahs, that's what I'm doing. So the energy that's derived from it is transformed from its klipa state, and it's absorbed into holiness. As, food becomes a part of you. So that vitality then now gives you the capability to actually do the mitzvah of learning Torah right now, is also absorbed in the Ein Sof light, in the divine will of God. Because that's what God created it for, ultimately. Then it should be absorbed in divinity. Thereby, all klipas which constitutes the vitality of the physical and corporal world, klipas naika, as a whole will ascend as well. That's what happens with our food and drink. Again, food and drink that's used in order to do the mitzvah. That's extremely powerful.